One of my teachers, she always said that like the Cherokees didn't really like the concept of channeling, even though I think that they did do some of that. Like they would communicate with other whatever spirits or be able to be open to the spirit of the trees or the sky or the water. So in a sense that was kind of like channeling probably, but there was also this a recognition of our need to, if we are going to be in that world where we're open to different dimensions and communicating on different dimensions like that, to just be careful, that we don't allow, that we really have really clear boundaries, and to know that we are allowed to have clear boundaries, because it's one of the things that has been sought to be broken in us, is to not have boundaries. So I think that if anybody's going to be doing channeling, it's really, really good to do some smudging or whatever the practice is. I don't know if you do something like that, Lizzy, to protect yourself and protect your space and your mind from, just to make sure that nothing unwanted comes in while you're channeling. Is that something that you think about, or?
Well, I've been doing this channeling since I'm a child, and nothing else really can affect me in that sense that is not of me, because my intention is always love, where I come from is always love. So anything that comes in can only be from and with that resonance.
Oh, yeah, good.
So yes, smudging, things like that are interesting and can be done, but for me, the intention is always have and is been set, from within. Nothing but love can flow through me.
Yeah.
And there is no space but the light. There is no space but the love. So anything that's not in resonance with that will not fill that space. And because I do not come out of fear when I do these things, there's no space for that.
Right.
Anything that comes through me will always be from that space, from the love that comes within. It just does not, there is no allowance for anything else.
Yeah, well, it's really good to have that that confidence, in love, and just standing strong in that. So it's really nice to hear that. Yep. Yeah, I have gone to psychics before who have told me things about past lives and things like that, and I never felt afraid. I never felt like anything bad was going to happen, and I know that nothing bad ever came of it.
Yeah.
So
well, it's all obviously if you are weak. If you are weak and if you're unsure and if you're playing with things that you shouldn't because you're weak, you're unsure, you are allowing for anything that is not you, that is not in the power of you, in the power of that love, then you shouldn't be doing that, when I do channeling has nothing to do, for example, with Ouija boards or anything like that. I would never say to someone do Ouija boards, things like that. Channeling is a very different thing,
There's a topic going on in the chat room right now about drinking and about drunks, and I think that's probably one thing that can be, depending on the the state of the person who's working, but the alcohol and drugs, that they can sort of kick doors open that we don't necessarily want open. And so, yeah, they're talking about drunks going mad, trying to do stuff like this. So,
Well, yeah, if you're going to try and do channeling, you should be in the right spot.
yeah.
You shouldn't be drunk. You shouldn't be taking drugs. You should always, because it's about respect. Yeah, it's about respect and being strong and being self-assured. Yeah. So of course, if you're going to be drunk, you're vulnerable, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're not in the place of power, are you? So you shouldn't be doing a channeling. If you're doing drugs, you shouldn't be doing anything that's mind altering. Yeah, it's a dangerous place to start from, unless if you know what you're doing. If you are a shaman that takes something, to do channeling, they know what they're doing. So they're doing it with respect. They're doing it in the right way. They're doing it from a place of love. They're doing it from a place of healing. And that's very different.
I think that there's a lot of fear around it from cultures that are not used to this kind of thing, and also fear fear from people who have been abused by other people who are working in different dimensions deliberately to abuse people and to harm people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I would never say to someone who's sort of has no experience, okay, go and do this. But the truth of the matter is, that we are spirit. Yeah? We are spirit. We are spirit soul, having an experience in body. Yeah? Not the other way around. We are spirit soul having an experience in body. So we are always in contact with spirit. If we've done our homework, and if we are on a spiritual path, and if you are a channeler, then you are in the right place and you know what you're doing. If you're doing it from a place of let's have fun, let's all sit down and do some channeling, then you're not in the right spot. You shouldn't be doing that. You're playing with fire. So of course you shouldn't be trying to call in. Channeling, when I do channeling, it's a natural thing. It's absolutely natural. Spirit comes to me with good advice. Spirit comes to me with help. I channel only in a very good vibration. I channel only good stuff. And I would know a resonance that is not so. So I would never say, let's all do, get together and, giggle, turn the lights off and call upon a spirit. I never have called upon a spirit.
Yeah.
But I listen to spirit if it comes to me.
Well, because different people have different concepts of what channeling is, and so I think that there's a fear factor, and there's the whole witch thing. Somebody's bringing that up online in the chat room, and that's kind of a scary word for me because they used that word to harm a lot of people who were open to different dimensions of understanding things.
Well, there are different. There is different kind of channeling, and as it's saying, isn't the whole point of channeling to invite spirits in, Lizzy? No. When you're channeling, you're not inviting spirits in. You are listening to spirit. If you're inviting spirits in, that's a different matter. It is channeling too. Some people do that. I don't invite spirits in. My space is my space. But spirit
That
is...
might not even be because a lot of people, I think maybe there's two things going on here that we're talking about. One of them could be that, because a lot of people do invite in different like entities or spirits, and I think for me, I've never done that. I have had experiences where have remembered past lives. I've remembered sort of deja vu kind of feelings, like where is it coming from? I know that this has happened before. That's not really, I don't think like the classic channeling. I think channeling in some people's minds is when they do call in other entities or beings or people who were alive before or something like that.
Well, you see, I don't think calling out spirits is right. Yeah. But when you're this is, because everyone has got a very personal space. When I do channeling, for example, spirit comes to me with message. I don't call them out. I could be doing the dishes, yeah? And a spirit comes to me. And the spirit comes to me with a message for someone. I didn't call spirit. I listened to spirit. I was aware of spirit, because we are oneness, yeah, and never separate. And because we are oneness, we are never separate, yeah. If you're in tune with oneness, yeah, with higher self and everything, sometimes your radio channel can listen to and beyond this where we are, yeah. I'm not calling in anything. It is something that I can perceive. So, like for example, years ago, this is an example of a channeling, okay? And I was fairly inexperienced, but I channeled since a child. I was just in my kitchen doing the dishes, and often, because water is an amplifier, and for me, I tune in easier with water. So I was doing the dishes, and as I was doing the dishes, and this spirit came to me, and so it was channeling. Yeah, it was speaking to me in a way, and I didn't know her, yeah, but in her channeling, I was asked to make a phone call to speak to someone. Yeah. Now, this someone I barely knew. I did have his phone number, but I barely knew. Yeah. So she asked me, please, he will get hurt, and I want you to contact him. Now, I could perceive this lady, her voice. I could perceive this lady, visualize her, even to her skin pores. Now, I didn't call her. She came to me because I am a channel, because I am a beacon of light. So they know that, spirit knows that. So she came to me in her despair to help her son. Okay, so she came to me, and because I felt uncomfortable with the idea, yeah, I kind of was pushing it aside. And because I was pushing it aside, and she was very persistent, yeah, so I did my dishes, and I was like, okay, this is a bit silly. But I was being compelled to go to the phone continuously. And this happened most of the day. And I was kind of having this conversation. It sounds mad, from deep within me. Yeah, I was having this conversation like, but I can't just go and pick up the phone and call him. And she kept insisting. Now, towards the end of the day, I actually picked up the phone. And, well, I had picked up the phone a few times and put it down. But towards the end of the day, I picked up the phone and I dialed this number. And I said, well, he answered, and I said, well, I'm ever so sorry. you barely know me, but this has been happening to me all day. And she is so insistent. So I do apologize if I'm upsetting you in any way or form, but someone wanted to tell you to be careful today, because she felt you may fall, and this, that, so I explained to him, and this silence happened, and he answered, I'm very glad you called. Yes, I was at the swimming pool, I nearly had a fall, and by a miracle I didn't get hurt. And the person you're explaining to me is my mom. May I come over? And I said, yes. So he came over and he embraced me, and we sat down, had a tea and a coffee, and I explained to him, and I explained to the detail what I saw and perceived, and he was so grateful that I did so. And he invited me, and we were invited to go there for a dinner and things. A few days later, we went there for a dinner, and when he opened the door, the picture that was hanging on the wall was that person, that lady, and she had the clothes and the head scarf that I saw, everything exactly as I saw. Yeah. So how can that be wrong? Right. Channeling is not wrong. Yeah. Channeling is being in contact with the oneness. Channeling is being in contact with what we all are. We are spirit soul having an experience in body. So it's not wrong. It is wrong if you do it for the wrong reasons. It is wrong if you do it in a childish way, all get together, yeah, and have a bit of fun, all drinking and have some snack attacks and, oh, giggle, 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 let's call upon a spirit. That is wrong. Yeah, that's, that's doing something very wrong there straight away, because yes, then you're coming from the wrong place and you're inviting things in that you cannot control necessarily, and no, that should not be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think that it's a similar situation, well, a different situation, but one time I was driving home from work, and all of a sudden I had this I just started crying hysterically that something was going to happen to my son, and I was just shaking almost. I had to pull over, and I was crying and pleading with God, Great Spirit, to the ancestors, to whoever would listen. I was pleading for the life of my son and pleading that he doesn't, because I felt like he was going to get into an accident or something was going to happen and he was going to get taken away from me. And so I was just, I sang out loud, as I was crying, please don't take him from me. I can't do this now. I couldn't go on, because my dad was passing away at the same time years ago. And I was just sobbing and sobbing, and so it turned out that my son got into this horrible accident right the same day that my father actually passed away. And when the police called me, he said, I was down in the Bay Area with my dad who had passed over, and they called me and said that my son had been in a wreck. And the police said, you should better just get down on your knees and give thanks that this kid is alive, because the truck was mangled. His body, he was in the middle of the truck in a little bubble, and they had to use a jaws of life to get him out of there.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And so when I told that story to this native elder of ours, he said, it was good that you listened to that and you allowed yourself to go with that Spirit was speaking with you, and that you allowed yourself to to really plead like that, and to know that that was something, it was really happening, that was a real message. That the fact that you allowed yourself to talk with the spirit, with Great Spirit or God, whatever we want to call that, higher power, that they listen.
Yeah.
So, how can that be bad? You're right.
Absolutely. It's only bad if people are doing it from a place of disrespect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're doing things from a place of disrespect, and then of course, or a place of darkness, of course it's not right. But we are all spirit soul, on a journey. And this journey, that we are here doing now, of remembrance of who we are, we never lost contact with spirit. We never lost contact with that. So sometimes our beloved ones, just like what you felt, it is a channeling. It is Great Spirit, embracing us. It is all of that. I think we are all very amazing, and this is why, the imagination that we have creates beautiful things, or not, but it is a place of creation, that we are at.
Yeah, exactly. And also I think that the natural world, and I know they're going to call us hippies in the chat room here, but that's okay. They love us. So I was walking along a pier today where there was these fishing boats, and I was thinking about, I don't know what I was thinking about really, but it was something about how parents worry about their children. And I was reading at one point how parents need to be especially careful not to worry or to project fear onto their kids. So, and I was thinking about this one woman who was talking about that and saying, that sometimes parents can be like the worst medicine for the children, because they project this fear stuff onto them, and they can create not very good scenarios out of being afraid. And so in my mind I was thinking, about that, and about how important it is to use our words and our thoughts in projecting safety. And as soon as I thought that, I looked down into the water, and this big, huge seal, this spotted seal, sort of popped up through the water and looked at me and slipped down. He was just like playing around there, and I thought, oh my gosh. So that to me was a sign that, I was having a good thought. This was an important thought.
Absolutely.
To put out there, So, and then it also connected me. So we're talking about, I don't know if this is, I don't look at it as channeling, but in Native American perspective of our being in this world, is that when we are on the right track or something's correct, and in that moment I knew that thought was a correct thought, because I got a sign from nature, this beautiful spotted seal coming up and saying hello to me and popping through and playing around there.
Absolutely.
It was a sign that, yes, this is important.
Absolutely.
That's what the elders say, is that if you are asking for something or you're thinking about something, that you're on the right track, you're going to get a sign that it's
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is also in a absolutely beautiful way, channeling, because we are all connecting. Everything is connected, in spirit, soul, animal, plant life, everything is connected, Everything is spirit, soul having an experience, in a body, or being it a tree, being it a plant, being it a human, being it an animal. So we're all connected, interconnected, interwoven in the most beautiful way. Yeah?
Yeah.
And yes, what you said is very true. Another example of that, yeah, when I was a little girl, I channeled, I never seen my grandma, yeah, one of my grandmas. I'd never seen her. She had passed on long time before I was born, and there was no pictures of her. I had no clue how she looked like, yeah. And I used to have dreams of her. Yeah, so I was channeling her in my dreams. She was coming to me in my dreams. And I used to dream, I would go up this path, and I'd see the path, and then I'd see this house, and I'd see this well, and the well had this a semicircle over it where you put the bucket, yeah, to pull the water, yeah, and had these roses over that semicircle, and I could even smell the roses. So every time I would go up the path, I'd get up a little bit further, yeah, and eventually I got far enough up this path because I kept recurring, this dream kept recurring, and eventually I came up and I saw this beautiful woman. Yeah. First I didn't see her face. She was pulling water. Yeah. As you do in the old wells. Yeah. And she had this very long, black, shiny hair because the sun was shining on her hair. And she lifted with her one hand. She lifted her hair up. And it was like, she looked at me with a big smile. And she says, "Oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you." And when I explained this to my mom was horrified because I just explained to my mom, my grandma, when my mom was young, just as young as I was when I was having those dreams. Yeah. So my mom was terrified, and she thought that what I was doing was absolutely bad. And she punished me for it. She punished me for even telling her. Now, my mom's not bad for doing that. My mom was just scared. Yeah. So, we do channeling just like Amadeus Mozart did channeling of music. Yeah. And it was beautiful, and even now we listen to his music, and it's beautiful because what it did was channel this most amazing cosmic symphonies, yeah, amazing healing, beautiful music that comes through from cosmos, from the oneness, yeah. That is who we are, yeah. But fear has held us back from being who we truly are. Yeah. So as a little girl, I did not know what I was doing, so I was telling my mom about my dreams. Yeah, that's all I was doing. When my mom was faced with what I told her, for her, I was being possessed.
Wow.
I was not being possessed. I was only barely just channeling my grandma, who was so happy to have seen me.
Wow. Yeah, people get scared of stuff, and I think it's just, like scientists are even saying, that really that the band of understanding of perception that we perceive to be reality is very, very small. The part of our brain that we use to perceive what we think is reality is infinitesimally small compared to what's actually there. And so, I think that what we're talking about is just sort of moving outside of that band of perception. Mm-hmm. So, and perceiving things in a way that, we're conditioned to see things only in this very small band of understanding. So when we go out of that band, it's perceived as, quote unquote channeling. I don't tend to use that word channeling for some reason. I don't know why. It's not a conscious thing, but I just don't, use that word. But, yeah, and I was writing in the chat here, I remember listening to a show about Nikola Tesla and about how his ideas, he'd go to bed, and I think you do this too, Lizzy, you were telling me about this, that he would go to bed with a pad and a paper next to his bed, and he'd wake up and he'd have his like scientific formulas written down.
Yes, absolutely.
And what we would think of as an unconscious state, which is basically just moving out of that band of understanding that's, what we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. You said it all really beautifully. And this is who we truly are, amazing beings, It's just because, again, as you said, it's the conditioning that holds us, into small little boxes. Mm-hmm. Gives us brands, gives us names, and holds us in these little boxes. So instead of watching and being who we are, we choose all possibilities and amazing, beautiful beings. We see these things as bad. Right. And we get told off. Don't say that. Don't even dare to mention that out loud. But it is who we are, and a lot of us even do it without realizing. It's beautiful. Tesla, it's beautiful what he did. Mozart, beautiful. Beautiful. He brings comfort, light, joy, magic to everyone that listens to him. It is part of whom we are, because truly we are here but a moment in time. In this body experience, it's a moment in time. Because we are eternal spirit soul on a journey of love and knowledge and experience, and this is a moment in time in our experience. So if we embrace that, imagine us all embracing whom we are, instead of bowing down to anything that says we are less than who we are. Mm-hmm. Imagine us coming from the heart center and accepting that we are love, and love is powerful, and love is that what moves us. Imagine how beautiful it will all be, instead of thinking it's all bad, that what we do.
Right. Exactly. And I think that, we have voices in our heads that are sometimes our parents, memories of what our parents said to us, or a teacher, or somebody who was not really, probably on a real solid spiritual path, or using more of the faculties of their brains. Maybe they were suffering from trauma. And so we got laid upon these belief systems, and a lot of people still have thoughts of fear and judgment and backing down from who we really are, or what we really want. And so a lot of times we don't believe in ourselves. And so I think that's what me and Lizzy were talking about before this show, was about to encouraging ourselves and to being there for each other, to really believe in thinking good thoughts and projecting what we in our hearts really want to see happen in the world, rather than what you were just saying, bowing down to this sort of control over situation. And so I think that's the original thought behind this show, was to just spend some time, with each other, stepping outside of that box, stepping outside of the band of perception that we always think we need to be in, or we have to believe about all these wars. And there's an interesting story in this book I read called The Mastery of Love, and this native guy from Mexico had gone off to college. He went to medical school and became a surgeon. And when he came back home one year, he was sitting with his grandfather, and he was telling his grandfather all these stories about this starvation and rape and all these horrible things happening around the world, and his grandfather just started laughing at him. And this guy was like a medicine man, from a Native American tradition down in Mexico, and a very loving, kind person. But he just laughed at this kid, and he said, you're believing these lies. And he goes, well, wait a minute, it's really happening. He's like, yeah, it's happening, but there's a different band of perception, and you can believe that the world is a safe place, and the world is a good place, and it's a place where we can create good things and safety and love and joy, and it's a place where if you believe the lies, that's another parallel reality of, all these other things, so you choose.
Yes.
You choose which one you want to believe, or where you want to put your, your attention on.
Your energy. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You said it very beautifully. And this is what we do here. This is why we do our shows, because we are coming from the heart center. We are bringing healing into the world. We are bringing awareness into the world of who we are. We are remembering who we truly are as people every day. We remember a little bit more. We remember a little bit further. We remember that we are soul spirit on a journey, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. And that here, this is a small moment in time, and we can actually create miracles. We can create amazing stuff. We can create happiness. We can create peace. We can create joy. We can create so much beauty if we truly choose to do that. So we need to be able to imagine that. We need to be able to project that.
Right. Yeah, and I just really want to thank people here in the chat room, Angel and Angemus and Barbara and Lisa and Gaz and Rob and Troy, for hanging out with us and just batting around these ideas, because these are really important things to be talking about. There's so much that we get sort of twisted up in with all these stories that we hear over and over and over on what we call the news. I called it the olds because it's the same old story.
I like it.
Sounds like the same old thing. They change the names sometimes in the whatever places, but it's, so it's like, okay, if their stories are important, they must be somewhat important. They're like on all these news stations. Well, we're just as important. So us having our stories or our joy markers, and our little ideas of what we want to do or what we want to see. I got a really good teacher. Unfortunately, she turned out to be a kind of a bad alcoholic, and she's still kind of off the deep end. But early on in my 20s, she was a friend of mine, and she and we're still friends. But she knew how to create things. She could manifest things. She manifested these amazing businesses over her lifetime, and she was a big teacher to me because she could just think of an idea and say, okay. So she started a line of women's clothing that she designed herself, and she would have people, it was in Vermont, and she would have people sewing her clothes with really good fabrics that were non-toxic, and the women who were sewing were making a living wage.
Wow.
And everybody said it wasn't possible, that she couldn't do it, that she would have to send things off to China to get sewn and stuff. And she's like, no, we're going to do this. And she just believed in herself, and she created this business that ended up being, she sold like $1 million of merchandise one year. And this was just like this hippie girl friend of mine, who never even made it through college. But she really believed in herself, and she knew how to manifest. And that was a really big a teaching for me to be. I used to work in what we used to call her sweatshop because I would sew for her. But it always stuck with me that we're all each other's teachers, and we pick and choose the good things that we can see in each other to bring forward and to sort of help ourselves to really, basically what we're here for is to learn who we are and to manifest things that make us happy.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Bring joy. Because if it brings joy to us, it's going to bring joy and happiness to other people.
Absolutely, absolutely, sweetheart. Yeah. Yes, we at this point in time, with the knowledge we have, need to bring that power into us. Mm-hmm. We need to stand and say, instead of imagining and listening to all the bad stuff, we now choose, to project, to imagine, to come from the heart and change everything, to throw that proverbial pebble in the pond and all resonate in this amazing, loving energy and change it all for the better.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we are that. We truly are that. Yeah. I don't just believe it. I know it. It's from the inside. It's just until everyone gets to that point, or enough of us get to that point that the resonance, will be strong enough to ripple all across the world and to heal everyone and to bring everyone forward. This is going to keep happening because a lot of people are in so much pain that their faith falters. So let's all imagine that leap of faith, that belief that comes from the heart.
Right. And it's a way of staying young also, because children, they believe in this stuff, and they're just as intelligent. I mean, they're probably more intelligent than most adults, because they do believe in this, and they do, before they've had it beaten out of them, or, they'll play around at things. And so I had one teacher who used to say, if you're not sure, just pretend. You make it.
Absolutely.
So, if you don't feel love around yourself, well, just imagine what it would be like if you felt love.
Absolutely.
Or if you, one time I remember going in for a job interview when I was younger, and I just sat in the lobby. It was at a restaurant, and I just imagined myself working there. I really wanted that job, and I just saw myself walking around as a waitress there, and I got the job.
Wow, well done. See?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the imagine. And this is something that we all need to work on, including me, including you, all of us. Every day we work on this. Every way we work on our imagination point. We work on our meditation point. And we work on making this proverbial stone hit this beautiful pond and ripple out love, healing, peace and harmony for all. Now we're getting to the end of the show, and I am going to say thank you to Angel, to Angelus, to Barbara, to Lisa, to Gaz, to Rob, Troy, and yourself, Geri. It's been a great, absolutely wonderful show. It actually went really, really fast this hour. As always, I love being with you. And I love, and I'm very grateful for everyone being with us. Please imagine and throw this beautiful ripple out into the world. Keep it strong, people. Keep the love in your hearts. and know that there's no one stronger than you, than your heart center, than the love that you truly are. Thank you, Geri. I hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Lizzy and Angemus, Barbara, Lisa, everybody, Rob and Troy. Yeah, it's been really wonderful to be back here. I've been away for a few weeks, and I keep thinking about you all and sending lots of love. And thanks again for listening in, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully Joan will be back.
Yeah. We're sending much love to Joan too and her family, and love to everyone, every single one of you. So, night-night, guys and girls.
Night. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you, Geri.
See you next time, Lizzy.
Yeah.